Welcome back, everyone, to my channel. Today, we continue the emotional journey of CEO James and the resilient young woman, LyTuDiep. If you followed the previous episode, you surely haven't forgotten that heart-wrenching moment when they were finally reunited after so many days apart. A tight embrace, tears falling not out of sorrow, but out of sheer happiness, the kind of reunion they so deeply deserved after everything they'd been through. And now, join me as we follow what unfolds after that reunion, a new chapter of peace, warmth, and love. Diep, a girl who once bore so much pain, is finally free to live according to her heart. And James, the strong, stoic man, now reveals a gentleness that appears only in front of the woman he loves. Every ordinary moment has now become precious. A cozy dinner, the soft golden glow of lights in a quiet room, gentle smiles shared in stillness. It is the simple yet priceless happiness they earned after a long, arduous journey. But what lies ahead in this new life? What changes await them on this path forward? Let's discover it all in today's episode, where love isn't just found in promises, but in every small moment they share side by side, day after day. So don't take your eyes off the screen, because every detail in this video holds a warmth and sincerity you won't want to miss. That morning, the first rays of sunlight gently slipped through the curtain, softly brushing Diep's cheek like a tender caress. Gone were the blaring horns of the city, gone was the aching loneliness of a vast, indifferent world. In their place was a quiet stillness, laced with the scent of morning light, the chirping of birds outside the window, and a feeling so real, so safe. Diep stirred lightly, rubbed her eyes, and out of habit turned to the side. But the pillow where James had laid was already cool. She blinked, startled for a moment. The room still held traces of his warmth, but he was no longer there. Instead, from the kitchen downstairs, a gentle aroma wafted upward, the scent of warm porridge, fried shallots, something deeply familiar, and deeply loving. Heart fluttering with curiosity and a strange excitement, Diep wrapped a shawl over her shoulders and made her way down. And there, bathed in soft golden light spilling through the kitchen window, she saw James. The man she loved, once always seen in crisp white shirts and cold boardrooms, was now standing awkwardly over a small pot of porridge. He wore his mother's apron, his hair a little tousled, sleeves rolled high, flour dusted over his elbow. And yet his eyes, when they met hers, held the same gentleness as the first time, glowing with a quiet joy no words could ever capture. "You're up already?" James said, a bit sheepishly. "I was hoping to bring it up to you when it was done. It's still hot. I hope it tastes okay." Diep didn't respond right away. She simply smiled, her eyes brimming with emotion. In that moment, she understood, love didn't always come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes, it looked like this morning. A man waking before her, heading quietly to the market, then standing in the kitchen, learning to make a simple bowl of porridge for the girl he loves. Not long after, the three of them, Diep, James, and his mother, sat around the small dining table, morning light spilling softly over bowls of steaming white porridge. Each held a spoon, and the soft clinking of porcelain was like a gentle melody to begin the day. No one spoke much, but the glances they exchanged were more than enough to warm the heart. Diep watched James carefully as he clumsily tried to offer her a piece of egg, his hands unsure, but his gaze full of care. His mother smiled tenderly, her eyes reflecting quiet contentment. That morning's breakfast had no delicacies, no sweet declarations of love, just plain porridge, steamed egg, and a bit of sautéed greens. But to Diep, it was the happiest breakfast she had ever known. In a world full of chaos, through years of exhaustion and heartbreak, she had finally found what she always longed for. A man patient enough to understand, gentle enough to love, and sincere enough to learn how to care for her, even in the smallest ways. And above all, she had found a home. A place where she no longer needed to be strong all the time, no longer had to hide her wounds just to survive. Here, she could simply be Diep, a woman cherished, protected, and finally allowed to live with her whole heart. After spending countless days devoting his heart and time to finding Diep, James had no choice but to return to the overwhelming demands of his company. During his absence, many operations had come to a standstill, export orders for timber delayed, paint shipments for construction partners left idle in warehouses, and purchasing plans with agricultural suppliers in the highlands disrupted. Everything seemed to be waiting for his return. As a CEO, James couldn't stay away forever. He knew he had to resume work immediately, but his heart was still weighed down with concern for Diep. After everything she had been through, he couldn't bear the thought of her being alone, not even for a moment. That's why James turned to the one person he trusted most, his mother, and asked her to take Diep out for the day, to help her relax, breathe fresh air, and escape, even just briefly, from the lingering shadows of pain. "Mom, I've got a lot to handle today," James said while tightening his tie, his voice laced with worry. "Could you take Diep out for a bit? I just want her to feel at ease. She's been through so much these past days." His mother smiled gently, placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, and nodded with deep understanding. "Don't worry. I'll take her out. She needs sunshine, a breeze, some laughter, to lighten her heart. To me, she's like my own daughter." Knowing that his mother cherished Diep like family brought James a sense of peace. He walked over, gently held Diep's hand, and whispered, "I have to head into the office, but Mom will take you out today. Just enjoy yourself, don't think about anything. I'll pick you up this afternoon." Diep nodded softly, a warm smile on her lips. There was no trace of resentment in her eyes, only gratitude. Because she knew, no matter how busy he was, James always thought of her first. By the time they finished changing, the family's private driver was already waiting at the gate. The car glided along tree-lined streets, carrying them away from the home filled with memories of pain, toward a day of healing, light, warm, and new. Inside the car, James's mother spoke cheerfully, sharing stories from her youth, occasionally glancing at Diep with eyes full of motherly love. Slowly, Diep began to relax. Her soft laughter began to fill the space, a sound that carried both hope and healing. She was no longer the girl curled up in sorrow. Today, Diep was simply herself, a girl loved, cherished, and finally allowed to feel whole again. That day's outing wasn't just a simple stroll. It was a healing journey, gentle, thoughtful, lovingly orchestrated in silence by James's mother, just for Diep. Their car glided through sun-drenched streets, beneath tree-lined boulevards, until it finally stopped in front of a luxury fashion boutique in the heart of the city. The glass facade shimmered in the morning light, the elegant sign above gleamed, and behind the windows, exquisite dresses stood on display, leaving Diep momentarily stunned. "Come try on a few outfits with me," James's mother said warmly, gently taking her hand like she was guiding a little girl. Diep hesitated. She wasn't used to places like this, let alone shopping for such expensive clothing. A quiet shyness stirred within her, an unnamed reluctance. But James's mother was patient. She softly tugged Diep inside, her eyes gleaming as if preparing a precious gift. The shop staff bowed politely. James's mother began browsing the racks, carefully selecting dresses one by one with a discerning eye. She smiled with satisfaction each time she found something that caught her attention, soft hues, elegant cuts, perfectly suited to Diep's gentle nature. Handing her one dress after another, she encouraged, "Try it on, dear. This one really suits you." Diep held the dress uncertainly, glancing at her. "Mom, these are really expensive. I don't think I need them." James's mother stepped closer, gently smoothing Diep's shoulder. Her eyes were filled with warmth and quiet tenderness. "Diep, you deserve so much more than just beautiful things. To me, seeing you smile, seeing you happy in something you love, that alone brings me joy. I don't need anything else." Those words struck something deep inside Diep. All her life, no one had ever taken her shopping like this. No one had ever considered buying her a dress as something joyful. With trembling hands, she stepped into the fitting room, heart stirred with emotions she didn't yet know how to name. When she finally emerged, wearing the cream-colored dress James's mother had chosen, the older woman's eyes lit up with pride. "You look beautiful, Diep. Just as I imagined." There was no pressure. No distance between them. That day, Diep didn't just wear new dresses. She wore, for the first time, the feeling of truly belonging. The feeling of being cherished, not as a guest, not out of pity, but as a daughter, in every sense that matters. And though this woman hadn't given birth to her, though this place wasn't where she was born, in the eyes of James's mother, Diep felt something unmistakably real. A mother's love. After leaving the boutique, James's mother and Diep made their way to a European-style restaurant near the Central Park, a place known for its warm, refined atmosphere and beautifully crafted cuisine. When the waiter brought the menus, James's mother didn't rush to order. Instead, she gently slid the menu toward Diep and said, "Choose whatever you like, dear. Today is about you, about bringing you joy, about making up for everything." Diep held the menu with slight awkwardness, her heart stirred. It had been a long time since she felt this kind of care from an adult, not out of obligation or duty, but from a place of genuine affection. James's mother looked at her with such softness in her eyes, every word carrying a quiet compassion that slowly warmed Diep from the inside out. She chose a few simple dishes, but James's mother thoughtfully added more: creamy pumpkin soup, seared salmon with lemon butter sauce, and a delicate dessert. When the food arrived, she didn't hesitate to peel shrimp, pick out the tender pieces of fish, and gently place them onto Diep's plate, just like a mother would with her little girl. "Eat plenty, darling. You've suffered enough these past days. You've lost weight, and it breaks my heart," she said, still gently wiping the edge of Diep's plate as if a few crumbs might spoil her appetite. Diep looked up, her eyes red. She bit her lip, set her chopsticks down, and slowly reached across the table to hold James's mother's hand. Her voice trembled. "Mom. I'm sorry. The necklace and earrings you gave me, the ones you chose so carefully, when I was walking back here the other night, they were stolen. I tried to protect them, but I couldn't. I know how much those gifts meant, and I didn't keep them safe." She lowered her gaze, her voice choked with guilt. To Diep, that gift wasn't just jewelry, it was love, acceptance, the first thing that ever made her feel like she truly mattered to someone. But James's mother only gave her hand a gentle squeeze and smiled with quiet reassurance. "Oh Diep, don't burden yourself with things like that. What happened wasn't your fault. The gift, let's think of it as something we gave away, perhaps saving someone else from harm. What matters most is that you came back safe." She dabbed Diep's tears with a napkin and continued. "To me, you're worth far more than any necklace. Your presence is the true treasure. Don't blame yourself for what was beyond your control. All I ask is that from now on, you live with more joy and less weight on your heart. I want to see your smile. I want to walk beside you, to be a mother to you, if you'll let me." And in that moment, Diep could no longer hold back her tears. She wasn't crying from sadness, but from a quiet, healing happiness that touched the deepest corners of her soul. A girl who had once been crushed by life, who had gritted her teeth through every storm, was now sitting in a warm restaurant, as a woman gently peeled shrimp for her, wiped her plate with care, and called herself Mom in the most heartfelt way. That meal didn't just fill her stomach. It restored the pieces of her soul that had long been broken. That evening, after a joyful day filled with laughter and sunshine, the two women returned home in the soft golden glow of dusk, a little tired, but completely content. As soon as they stepped through the gate, Diep was greeted by a familiar aroma drifting from the kitchen, the scent of warm rice, braised fish, vegetable soup, so nostalgic it tugged at her heart. She hadn't even taken off her shoes when James appeared from the kitchen, holding a large ladle in one hand. His white shirt sleeves were rolled up, his hair slightly damp with sweat, but his eyes lit up as he saw the two women he loved most walk through the door. "You're home. Go wash up, dinner's ready." No need for fancy words or grand gestures, that one simple sentence was enough to make Diep's heart tighten with emotion. After so many months of wandering and enduring, she finally felt what it meant to be waited for. Not alone. Not in silence. But in a warm home, with a pot of soup still simmering on the stove and the man she loved standing there, waiting for her. James had cooked a simple but heartfelt dinner: caramelized clay pot fish, winter melon soup with shrimp, fluffy omelette, sautéed greens with garlic, and a sweet mung bean dessert to finish. Everything was neatly arranged, bowls perfectly aligned, chopsticks placed with care. James's mother smiled warmly, pride glimmering in her eyes. She leaned toward Diep and whispered, "You see? This man learned to cook just for you. He's never touched a stove before." Diep smiled through tearful eyes. She knew, in each dish was love, patience, and the quiet determination of a man who wanted to care for the woman he loved in every little way. When the three of them sat down to eat, the evening unfolded in gentle laughter and golden light. James served food to his mother, then carefully placed a tender piece of fish into Diep's bowl. The air in that small kitchen felt peaceful, as if every storm had finally passed. Midway through the meal, James and Diep exchanged a glance, then turned to his mother with quiet anticipation. "Mom," James spoke first, his voice steady but full of meaning. "Diep and we've thought about this a lot. And we feel it's time to settle down. I want to hold a wedding, something simple, but meaningful. And I'd like to take Diep back to the farm." Diep added softly, her eyes glowing with sincerity. "I miss that place, the orchard, the chickens, the little kitchen where I used to cook for James. And I know in my heart, that's where I want to be." James's mother gave a gentle nod, her eyes shining with quiet joy. She reached for Diep's hand and gave it a soft squeeze, a silent blessing. No need for words. Just a smile, a nod, and a loving gaze that said everything. "I approve. I support you. I believe in your love." That night, under the soft golden glow of a warm and loving home, Diep finally slept a deep, gentle, and strangely peaceful sleep. No more fear. No more quiet nightmares gnawing at her each night. Only the whisper of wind rustling through the trees, the steady rhythm of a healing heart, and the calm, tender breath of a girl once shattered by life, now resting in the safe harbor she had longed for all her life. Diep slept without dreams, without flinching. For the first time in so many days, she truly felt alive. Alive not as someone merely surviving, but as a daughter, a woman cherished and loved. A modest little room, a warm dinner, James's gentle hand in hers, and the kind eyes of her future mother-in-law, all wrapped around her like a lullaby, rocking her into a dream that was, at last, real. And dear friends, if you also hope that Diep will continue to live in peace and warmth like this, please leave a heartfelt comment below to send her your blessing. Because sometimes, even a small wish can become a flickering light in the night. A beacon for someone who has walked through life's darkest storms. See you in the next episode. where the love story of James and Diep will continue. With unexpected turns, tender moments, and perhaps a brand new beginning.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người vì đã quay lại với video của mình. Hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến cho mọi người câu chuyện tình yêu của James và Diep nha mọi người. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì James và Diep đã trở về bên nhau sau một quãng thời gian khá là dài chia cắt, và họ phải trải qua rất là nhiều khó khăn để có thể tìm thấy được nhau. Thì bây giờ họ đã có thể trở về bên nhau. Và trong tập này là những giây phút hạnh phúc. Và ngoài hạnh phúc với James ra thì Diep còn được mẹ của James rất là yêu quý. Một cô gái mồ côi không có tình thương của mẹ, lần đầu tiên cảm nhận được mái ấm của gia đình, tình yêu của mẹ. Ngoài ra còn có người cô rất yêu và yêu thương cô bên cạnh nữa. Trong những tập tới thì tình tiết nó sẽ có nhiều diễn biến mới hơn, nên là mình hy vọng mọi người hãy cố gắng xem những tập sau và có thể đóng góp ý kiến cho kênh mình để mình có thể hoàn thiện kênh hơn, để có thể phục vụ mọi người một cách tốt nhất. Và hãy nhớ rằng đăng ký kênh và bật chuông thông báo để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé.